Beneath the silent moons, the aliens remembered our names. The moons of Elaris hung low over the horizon, pale and still, as if listening. Their light spilled across the silver plains where nothing moved anymore. No wind, no birds, no echoes of laughter. Only silence lived there now, a silence so deep it felt alive. Commander Aiden Marek stood at the edge of the broken colony dome, staring up at the twin moons. Behind him, the remains of the human outpost shimmered faintly in the light. Collapsed corridors, shattered screens, and names etched into stone markers that had long since faded under alien dust. They had come here decades ago, when Earth had lost its oceans and forgotten its blue. The humans had left in search of new worlds, new hopes, and places where silence didn't carry the weight of ghosts. But Elaris had remembered everything. Aiden had returned not as a conqueror, but as a pilgrim. His ship, the Solace, hovered quietly behind him, a scarred vessel older than most of the stars still burning in the sky. He was the last of the original settlers. The others had gone home, or vanished into the dark between stars. Now, he was here to find something long forgotten. He turned as the soft hum of the ship's door opened, revealing Mira, the ship's AI interface, projected in the form of a woman made of light. "Commander," she said gently, "you shouldn't stay outside this long. Radiation levels are unstable." Aiden smiled faintly. "Radiation can't hurt ghosts, Mira." "You're not a ghost," she replied. "Not yet." He looked up again at the moons, feeling the strange pull in his chest. "They remember us," he murmured. "Even after all these years." Mira tilted her head. "The aliens. The moons," Aiden said softly. "And whatever listens beneath them." When the first colonists arrived on Elaris, they found a world of silence. No storms, no oceans, no signs of life, only vast crystalline plains and whispering winds that carried no sound. But on the third night, when the twin moons rose together, something began to speak, not in words, but in feelings. The colonists described it as a hum inside their bones, a memory that wasn't theirs. Some said the planet itself was dreaming. Then came the visions. Children spoke names they had never heard. Engineers dreamed of cities that didn't exist. Some even started building structures following patterns they couldn't explain. They said the aliens of Elaris were not living creatures, not in the way humans understood. They were memories, echoes of a civilization that had transcended form. They existed within light, within the dust, within the silver glow of the moons. When humans arrived, the aliens remembered something. Something old. Something they had once lost. That was why Aiden had come back. To ask them why. He wandered through the ruins of the colony, his boots crunching softly on shards of glass and stone. The domes were half collapsed, the airlocks sealed long ago. Inside, vines of crystal had grown, curling up the walls like frozen lightning. Aiden brushed his hand along one of them. The crystal flickered faintly, then pulsed with a rhythm, like a heartbeat. "Mira," he whispered, "are you seeing this?" Her light flickered beside him. "I am." Energy signature, non-electrical, non-chemical. Something else. Then a whisper filled the air. Not a voice, not sound, but a memory. Aiden Marek. His name. Spoken not by the wind, but by the world itself. He froze. The crystal pulse grew brighter, spreading across the room. Shapes formed in the air, ghostly figures of light, human in form but not in face. Their features shifted constantly, like reflections in rippling water. "Who are you?" Aiden breathed. The figures didn't answer in words. Instead, memories flowed through him, flashes of earth, of oceans and forests, of laughter and fire. He saw the faces of his crew, of the first colonists, of those who had died here under alien skies. And beneath it all, he felt a deep sorrow. Myra's voice broke through softly. "They're trying to communicate." "They already are," Aiden said, his eyes wide. "They remember us." Later that night, Aiden sat near the old observatory dome, the one place still intact. The twin moons hung above, bright and silent. The air shimmered faintly with the remnants of alien presence. Mira appeared beside him, her form flickering gently. "Commander," she said, "what do you think they want?" He looked at her with tired eyes. "I think they're lonely." "Lonely? They remember everything that ever touched this world," he said. "When we came, we woke their memories. We became part of them." Mira fell silent, processing his words. "You mean they know every human who has ever lived here?" "Every thought, every dream," Aiden said. "Even the ones we've forgotten ourselves." The silence deepened. Only the faint hum of the moons filled the air, like a soft song heard through distance. And then another whisper. Not from outside, but from within his own mind. "Aiden Marek, you came back." He stood up suddenly. "Mira, did you hear that?" "No sound detected," she replied. The voice came again, gentle but filled with something ancient. "We remember you. We remember all of you." Aiden's heart pounded. "Who are you?" he whispered. "We are what remains. You called us aliens. We called ourselves the Remembers." He felt his breath catch. "The Remembers? We do not live as you do. We are memory-bound to light. We were once flesh, once mind, once dream. But the stars took us, and we became what endures." Aiden closed his eyes. The moonlight seemed to vibrate around him. "Why remember us?" he asked softly. "We left you behind." The voice paused, filled with something that almost felt like grief. "Because you are part of our memory now." When dawn came, though dawn on Elaris was only the dim brightening of its distant sun, Aiden found something new carved into the dust beside the colony ruins. His name. Not by human hand, but by light. Mira scanned it silently. "Energy residue matches the same readings as the alien crystals," she said. Aiden knelt beside it, tracing the glowing letters. "They wrote this," he murmured. "They know me." And then he whispered, as if to the moons themselves, "What do you want from me?" No answer came, but the moons pulsed faintly, as though the world itself was breathing. Aiden stood and looked up. "I'll find out," he said quietly. He didn't notice the faint shimmer of light following him as he returned to the Solace. It was the shape of a memory. Watching, waiting, remembering. Inside the Solace, the lights flickered softly as Aiden entered. The ship felt emptier than ever, its corridors echoing with a kind of mechanical loneliness. Every sound, the hiss of the air system, the hum of the reactors, seemed distant. Myra's form appeared again, shimmering into being beside the command console. "Commander, you've been outside for 14 hours, she said quietly. "Your vitals are unstable. You need rest." Aiden nodded absently, lowering himself into the captain's chair. "Mira, I heard them again. Not in sound, but in thought. They're remembering us. All of us." Mira tilted her head slightly. "I've analyzed the energy signatures. Whatever they are, they're not random. It's like the planet is replaying a recording of our presence." "Not replaying," Aiden said softly. "Reliving." He looked out through the viewport. The twin moons were beginning to rise again, pale and glowing. He could feel the strange vibration in the air already, the low, deep hum that filled his bones whenever they appeared. Myra's light flickered once. "Commander, I'm detecting something new." "What is it?" She hesitated, her tone almost uncertain. "A signal, coming directly from beneath the surface of the planet, deep underground." Aiden frowned. "Coordinates." She projected a faint map in front of him. 100 kilometers east. Near the crater field. Aiden stood. "Prepare the rover." "Commander," she said, her voice soft but firm, "you're not in any condition to travel that far alone." "I'm not alone," he said quietly. "They're already with me." Mira looked at him for a long moment, then sighed, a human gesture she had learned from him long ago. "I'll guide you remotely." The rover hummed quietly as it rolled across the crystalline plain. The landscape shimmered like frozen glass beneath the light of the moons. The stars above seemed closer than ever, like eyes watching him from eternity. Aiden drove in silence, his thoughts heavy. Every few kilometers, he felt faint pulses through the ground, like faint echoes of something deep beneath him. After several hours, the horizon changed. The silver plain gave way to a wide, sunken valley filled with jagged rock spires. The air shimmered strangely there, bending light like heat. "Mira," he said, "I think I've reached it." Her voice came softly through the rover's speakers. "Energy readings are peaking. The signal source is directly below your position." Aiden climbed out and walked into the center of the crater. The ground beneath his boots glowed faintly. He crouched down and placed his hand on it. Instantly, the world shifted. The silence broke, not with noise, but with memory. He saw faces again, not his own. Beings of light, of energy, walking through vast transparent cities that floated above oceans of silver. Voices filled his mind like music. "You came back," the voice whispered again. Aiden tried to speak, but his voice was swallowed by the visions. "We remember you, Aiden Marek. We remember the ones who came before you. The first who looked at our moons and gave them names." Images flooded him, humans standing beneath alien skies, their laughter carried into light. The aliens had watched, not as strangers, but as witnesses. They had remembered everything. "Why?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Why remember us? We were only here for a short time." The answer came like the sound of a heartbeat beneath the ground. "Because forgetting is the first death, and we have died too many times." Aiden found himself walking without realizing it, deeper into the crater. The ground opened up, revealing a narrow path leading underground. The walls shimmered faintly with blue light, as though the stone itself was alive. Myra's voice echoed faintly through the calm, "Commander, I'm losing signal. I can't track you past this depth." Aiden stopped at the entrance and looked back at the stars above. "It's all right, Mira," he said quietly. "If I don't make it back, remember me." Then he descended. The tunnel led him into a massive underground chamber. It glowed with a soft, living light. Crystals formed arches that pulsed gently, their rhythm matching the beating of his own heart. At the center of the chamber was a sphere of pure light, floating, spinning slowly, like a small sun trapped underground. "This is our heart, the memory core of Elaris. Everything that was and everything that remains." Aiden approached slowly. "And you've kept our memories here too?" "Yes." "Every word, every breath, every dream that touched our soil." He hesitated. "But why mine? Why call me back?" The sphere pulsed, and a vision appeared in the air. Aiden as a young man, standing beside the first settlers, laughing, full of hope. "Because you were the last one who looked at us with wonder. You saw us not as ghosts, but as something alive." Aiden felt tears in his eyes. "I never forgot you," he whispered. "And we never forgot you." Suddenly, the chamber began to vibrate. The light around him grew brighter until it filled everything. The air was alive with a hum so deep it felt like it came from the universe itself. Aiden fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "What are you doing?" he gasped. "We are remembering." The light reached out to him, flowing into his skin, his eyes, his mind. For a brief, eternal moment, he saw everything the aliens had ever been. Their birth, their rise, their transformation into beings of memory. He saw their last city crumble beneath the weight of time. He saw them choosing to live on as echoes, as remembrance itself. And then he saw something else. Earth. Blue and distant. Forgotten. He saw the humans who had left, who had promised to return, and never did. He saw the aliens waiting, beneath their silent moons, whispering the names of those who had once loved the stars. When Aiden awoke, he was back in the rover. The moons were still above, and Myra's voice was calling faintly. "Commander. Commander, respond." He blinked, his head heavy. "I'm here," he said weakly. "Your vitals dropped for several minutes," she said. "I thought." He smiled faintly. "I was with them." "Who?" "The remembers." He reached into his pocket and found a small shard of glowing crystal. It pulsed faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. Mira scanned it. "That's impossible. The energy signature matches the entire planetary core." Aiden looked out at the horizon. "They gave me something," he whispered. "A piece of their memory."
Why?
He didn't answer at first. Then he said quietly, because they want us to remember them too. As the Solace lifted from the surface of Elaris, the moons shone brighter than ever. From orbit, they looked like two eyes gazing upward, timeless and knowing. Aiden stood at the viewport, the crystal shard in his hand. It glowed softly, filling the cabin with pale light. Mira spoke gently. "Commander, what will you do now?" Aiden smiled faintly. "I'll go home, back to Earth. Maybe it's time to remind the universe that we're not the only ones who remember." And outside, beneath the silent moons, the world of Elaris seemed to whisper one last time. "We remember." The stars stretched endlessly beyond the windows of the Solace as it glided through the quiet of space. Aiden Marek stood near the observation deck, watching the faint blue shimmer of Earth growing larger in the distance. It had been years, maybe decades, since he'd last seen his homeworld. But now, as the pale light of Earth glowed ahead, something inside him stirred. It wasn't joy or sorrow. It was memory. The crystal shard in his pocket pulsed faintly, in rhythm with his heartbeat. Myra's voice broke the silence. "Commander, we are entering Earth's communication range. Shall I send a transmission to planetary control?" Aiden nodded.
Yes.
"Identify us as the Solace, returning from Elaris." There was a long pause. Then static. A faint voice answered. "Solace, confirm your identity." Elaris' mission was declared lost 63 years ago. Aiden blinked. 63? He glanced at Mira. She looked down, her light flickering. "Commander, relativistic drift during hypersleep travel. Time on Earth moved faster than aboard the Solace." He took a deep breath, realizing the truth. "We didn't just return late. We returned to a world that's forgotten us." Mira spoke softly. "Maybe that's why the Rememberer sent you back." When the Solace finally landed on the Earth Restoration Base in New Geneva, the planet looked nothing like Aiden remembered. The skies were dimmer, the air filled with faint dust. Massive cities floated above the clouds, while the ground below was covered with forests regrown over ancient ruins. The Earth he had left was broken and dying. The Earth he returned to was alive, but hollow, its people quieter, slower, almost detached. He stepped out of the ship, the shard of Elaris in his hand. Scientists and officials gathered around, whispering his name. "Aiden Marek," one of them said in disbelief. "You're a legend, the last of the Elaris colonists." He gave a tired smile. "I'm just a man who came home late." They took him to the Global Science Council. There, under bright lights and curious stares, he placed the glowing crystal on the table. "This," he said quietly, "is a gift. From Elaris." The council members leaned forward, fascinated. The shard pulsed once, sending a soft vibration through the air. "What is it?" one asked. Aiden looked at it with reverence. "It's memory." Over the next days, scientists studied the shard with every tool they had. They measured, scanned, and tested, but none of their instruments could explain its power. It didn't behave like any known energy source. It pulsed with patterns that resembled thought. At night, when everyone else had left, Aiden would sit alone in the lab, staring at it. One night, as the room dimmed, he whispered, "Do you still hear me?" The shard pulsed softly. And then, like the first drop of rain breaking a long drought, he heard the voice again. "Aiden Marek." He smiled faintly. "You're still here. We are always here." "Why did you send me back?" he asked. "To remind your kind that memory is the soul of the universe." Aiden closed his eyes. "They don't remember you. Earth has forgotten everything. Elaris, the colony, even the stars we once dreamed of." Then help them remember. With Myra's help, Aiden began a secret project. Using the shard's energy, they built a device that could translate its light patterns into data, images, sounds, and eventually thoughts. When the device activated, the lab filled with visions, cities of crystal, oceans of silver, skies with 2 moons. People gasped as the alien memories flowed through the air like living art. Soon, the story of the Rememberers spread across Earth. At first, people were fascinated. Then something strange began to happen. Those who had seen the shard began to dream. They dreamed of Elaris, of its moons, its silence, its sorrow. Children began speaking words in an unknown language that matched no human tongue. Some even claimed to remember being there, though they never had been. The memories of the aliens were merging with humanity. Mira observed quietly. "Commander, the shard is doing more than projecting data. It's sharing consciousness." Aiden nodded. "It's what they wanted. They wanted us to carry them. But it's changing people," she said. "They're starting to feel emotions that aren't theirs. Loneliness, ancient sadness." Aiden looked up at the shard glowing brighter each day. Maybe that's the price of remembering. Not everyone welcomed the change. The council soon declared the shard dangerous. News networks called it the memory plague. Some claimed it was an alien invasion of the mind. Aiden was summoned again. "This thing is infecting our people," the director said coldly. "Dreams, visions, emotional disruptions. It must be destroyed." Aiden stood firm. "You can't destroy memory." The director glared. "We can destroy you." That night, soldiers came for the shard. But by then it was too late. The shard had already begun to divide, splitting into smaller fragments of light that scattered through the air like fireflies. Wherever they touched, people remembered. An old woman saw her childhood on another planet. A child whispered the names of stars no telescope had ever found. The rememberers had awakened within humanity. Aiden fled the city, taking Myra's core system with him. They traveled north to the mountains where few lived. There, beneath a clear night sky, he looked up and saw something extraordinary. 2 faint silver lights glowing side by side near the moon. He felt his heart ache. "They followed us." Myra's voice was quiet. "Commander, are you sure those are moons?" He smiled faintly. "No. Maybe they're memories pretending to be stars." He sat down, holding the last piece of the original shard. Its light pulsed steadily, calm and warm. Then the voice spoke again, not from the shard, but from within his own thoughts. "Aiden Marek, you have done what we could not." "What's that?" he whispered. "You gave us new life. You gave us voices again." He felt tears rise. "What will happen now?" "We will live where you live. We will remember what you remember. And when your kind forgets again, we will whisper your names beneath new moons." Years passed. The world changed quietly. People began to build monuments inspired by the visions of Elaris. Songs and poems spoke of the twin moons and the glowing plains. No one called it alien anymore. They called it heritage. Aiden grew older, his hair silver like the light of the moons he once walked beneath. He lived in a small home near the sea, watching the stars each night. One evening, as the tide rolled in, he saw children playing near the shore. They were drawing circles in the sand. 2 moons. He smiled softly. "They remember." Myra's faint voice echoed from the small device beside him. "You succeeded, Commander." He looked at the sky. "No, we did. All of us." The shard on his desk glowed faintly, just once, like a heartbeat saying goodbye. And above, the stars shimmered in silence. For those who listened closely, the light itself seemed to whisper, "Aiden Marek, we remember your name." Years passed, and Earth slowly began to change. It was subtle at first, strangers helping one another, lost languages remembered in whispers, and songs that felt older than anyone alive. The shards of the rememberers, scattered across cities and homes, pulsed faintly in resonance with human hearts. Wherever a shard settled, people began dreaming, not just of Elaris, but of other worlds beyond. Children would wake speaking words that no one taught them, tracing constellations that did not exist in modern star charts. Scientists, poets, and dreamers alike marveled at the new knowledge, unsure if it was invention or memory. Aiden watched it quietly from his home near the ocean, the crystal shard still glowing softly on his desk. Myra's light flickered beside him. "They are waking," she said. Aiden nodded. The rememberers said we would be the bridge. Now the bridge is alive. One night, as Aiden looked at the sky, he noticed something unusual. Among the familiar constellations, there was a faint shimmer, a line of silver light moving rhythmically across the darkness. "Do you see that, Mira?" he asked. "I see it, Commander," she said. Energy patterns match the shard's signature, but the source is not Earth. Aiden's heart raced. Then they are not only remembering us, they are reaching out. He felt the pulse of the shard on his desk, stronger than ever, as if it knew what he was thinking. Then, in the quiet of the night, he heard it, not in words, but as a memory flash inside his mind. "We are here. You are not alone." Aiden smiled, feeling something he hadn't in decades: hope. The next day, Aiden worked tirelessly with scientists and engineers to trace the energy patterns from the shard. They built a receiver capable of interacting with the subtle pulses that now flowed between the scattered shards on Earth and the unknown source in space. The first contact was subtle. Faint symbols appeared on screens, geometric patterns that shifted and flowed like living light. The world watched in awe as the transmission translated into sound, a melodic hum that resonated with human emotion, a song older than time itself. Then, in flashes of memory, images appeared: planets with golden skies, oceans of light, cities floating in clouds of silver, and beings of luminous energy standing beneath moons that mirrored those of Elaris. The world realized the truth. Humans were not alone, and the universe remembered them. As the transmissions continued, people all over the globe began to experience visions, dreams, and feelings of connection with these alien memories. Some were terrified. Some were overwhelmed. But many embraced the awakening, feeling part of a vast web of consciousness stretching across stars and galaxies. Aiden traveled to meet people in different cities. Each encounter was the same. Those touched by the shards spoke of memories not their own, of voices calling names long forgotten, of knowledge too ancient to have been learned on Earth. "They remember us," Aiden said each time, repeating the words that had become his mantra. "We are known. We are remembered." And humanity began to change. Compassion grew. Conflict softened. Curiosity returned to the hearts of scientists and children alike. The Remember's gift had become a bridge, not just between humans and aliens, but between the past and future of the human spirit. Years later, Aiden returned to space aboard a new vessel, the Dawn. He wanted to see Elaris again, to witness the moons that had begun it all. When he arrived, the planet looked different than he remembered. Crystals shimmered across the plains like a living web of light, and pulses of memory reached out toward him, warm and familiar. Beneath the moons, the Rememberers greeted him, not in form, but in radiant light that mirrored his own memories of them. "You have done well," they whispered. "I did not do this alone," he said. "The humans remember now. They carry you. And through them, we endure," the Rememberers replied. Aiden stood beneath the pale moons, feeling the pulse of the planet, the shard inside his pocket, and the living memory of humanity. The universe felt closer than ever, alive with voices that stretched across time and space. As he walked across the silver plains, Aiden realized something profound. The Rememberers did not speak in words, and humans did not yet understand their language fully. But memory was a language of its own. Feeling, remembrance, and recognition formed sentences that could not be written, only lived. Aiden closed his eyes. He remembered every person who had ever walked with him, every child who had dreamed of stars, every soul that had looked up at a silent moon and wondered. And beneath the silent moons, he understood. The universe was listening, and every being that remembered another was a note in the song of existence. The Rememberers whispered again, gently this time, "We will always remember your names." And Aiden whispered back, softly but clearly, "And we will remember yours." When Aiden returned to Earth, he brought with him not just memories, but the knowledge that humanity was part of a larger, living cosmos. The shards of the Rememberers continued to spread, connecting humans to stars, to distant worlds, and to the memory of civilizations long gone. Children played beneath the moonlight, speaking names of worlds they had never visited. Cities sang with the pulse of alien memory, and people began to dream in colors and shapes that no human mind could have imagined. The shard in Aiden's pocket pulsed one last time, faint and steady, as if sighing with satisfaction. And above, the silent moons watched, holding the memory of every human who had ever dreamed of the stars. Beneath their quiet light, Aiden smiled, knowing the universe had become a place where memory could live forever. The Rememberers had succeeded. Humanity had remembered. And the stars had begun to sing. Years passed, and the whispers of Elaris and the Rememberers became a part of Earth itself. Shards of memory floated in the air like fireflies, touching those open to them, awakening dormant dreams. Humanity had learned to listen. Aiden Marek, older now, walked along a cliff overlooking the ocean. The twin moons of Elaris were visible in the night sky, a faint echo of the distant planet that had changed everything. Myra's light flickered beside him. Commander, the energy from the shards is stabilizing. Humans now interact with them consciously. They remember without fear. Aiden nodded. They're ready. They are, Mira agreed. And so are you. He looked up at the moons. The Rememberer's light shimmered faintly, visible only to those who remembered. He could feel their presence like the warmth of the sun on his skin. We are here. We are memory. We are alive. Aiden called the world together for a final demonstration of the Rememberer's gift. On every continent, people gathered, holding fragments of the shards or simply gazing up at the night sky. He activated the central shard, which pulsed with a rhythm that seemed to resonate with every heartbeat on Earth. Slowly, the shards connected, forming a network of light that stretched across the globe and beyond, into orbit, into space. Aiden spoke through the memory network, not with words, but with thought and feeling. Remember, he sent. And the world did. Every memory, every lost hope, every love, every loss, it flowed into the shards, intertwining human memory with that of the Rememberers. Across the stars, the twin moons of Elaris shimmered, reflecting the connection. Humanity's heart had become a vessel of remembrance. Then something extraordinary happened. The light from the shards stretched beyond Earth, touching distant stars and planets. On other worlds, civilizations began to awaken to the same pulse, recognizing the shared memory of the cosmos. The Rememberers spoke within Aiden's mind. It has begun. Memory connects all who live, all who dream, all who exist. From now, forgetting will no longer be the end. He felt tears in his eyes as he realized the truth. The universe itself was alive, not in form, but in memory, in recognition, in the eternal song of existence. The next morning, Earth woke, transformed. People felt connected to one another in ways they had never known. Old rivalries faded, new dreams emerged. The Rememberer's memory flowed through the human race, guiding them toward unity, empathy, and creativity. Aiden stood quietly in a field, watching children play beneath the sun, speaking words in a language older than humans, older than Earth. Mira flickered beside him. Commander, you've completed your mission. He smiled faintly.
No, Mira.
This is only the beginning. That night, Aiden returned to the shore to gaze at the sky. The twin moons shone above, serene and knowing. Their light reflected in the water, casting silver trails across the waves. From the shards scattered around the world, the Rememberer's memory pulsed in harmony with humanity's thoughts. The earth itself seemed to hum, alive with remembrance, connected to the distant moons of Elaris. Aiden whispered to the sky, softly but firmly, "Thank you." And in response, a chorus of memory filled his mind, thousands of voices joining together, gentle, endless, eternal. "We remember you. You have remembered us. And now, we will live together, forever." He looked out at the stars, feeling the universe stretch infinitely around him, filled with the light of countless civilizations remembering one another. For the first time in centuries, Aiden felt peace. Humanity and the Rememberers were one, bound by memory, by love, and by the silent song of the moons. And somewhere, across the distant galaxies, the stars began to sing.